I designed the Didi 26 in 1996 as a modern trailable racer with weekending accommodation. More than 150 have been built in 35 countries by amateurs. I was asked to convert it to a classic racer above waterline for Caribbean races. These are the two boats and the conversion process. First, the boat with which I started. The Didi 26 is a light and shallow-hulled modern boat, fairly narrow to fit into maximum trailing width. This one is in New Zealand, winning a local regatta in strong and gusty conditions. Soon after they put the mast in the water, she stood back up and went on to win the race. The boat on the right is in Sweden. The foredeck track is for the bowsprit, pivoting bowsprit, which also retracts along the side deck. The boat on the left is in Siberia, launched a few months ago in Lake Baikal, and reports that his home-built boat is well matched against the local high-tech racers. Built primarily from plywood sheets, on only the turn of the bilge is not sheet plywood. The basic shape is a hard chine hull with slight V-bottom. The corner is rounded to a variable radius, tight in the bow and increasing further aft. The cabin structure is multi-chine sheet plywood built by stitch and glue methods. Deck plan of the Didi 26 long cockpit version, better for racing than the short cockpit. The foredeck track controls the bowsprit and guides it aft to retract. Halyard and drop gear lines go to the stoppers and winches at the end of the cabin. Jib sheets on tracks on the cabin roof for the same winches. The lines drawing shows a modern boat with efficient hull that is quick to surf and planes downwind. Short overhangs minimize pitching for upwind efficiency. Low-profile cabin is shaped for low windage. Hull surfaces, flat surfaces are skinned with 9mm plywood sheets. The radius is skinned with 2 layers of 4mm. Lines of the Didi 29 Retro and the Didi 26 lines for comparison in the top right. The bow is cropped back to vertical. The stern is extended by about 3 feet and changed to a rake transom. The hull sides have been extended upward to form bulwarks which taper off aft. Decks are wider with a more boxy cabin with sides nearly vertical. The transformation of the modern Didi 26 hull to a pretty little classic is complete. Individually, each change is fairly unremarkable, but taken together they create a major change in aesthetics. The bowsprit also pivots and retracts, and the only change to the underwater profile is the lifting rudder in a cassette. Master section of the Didi 26. Bottom left is a tangent detail where flat sheets meet the radius. Top left is the shear detail, which is a diagonal shear clamp. Top and center right are stitch and glue details for the cabin. And bottom right is the backbone detail. It is built with deck stringers and no deck beams. Master section of the Didi 29 Retro, with the details are pretty much the same as the 26, except for the shear and cabin details. The shear has a vertical shear clamp and bulwarks formed by extending the skin upward, then adding 2 layers of doublers on the inside. Cabin is fairly conventional strip cedar roof with sheet plywood panels. The interior layouts of the Didi 29 Retro, they're both the same through to the aft end of the cabin, but there they change with the short cockpit version has a double berth and the long cockpit version has quarter berth, better for racing. The lifting keel is a GRP sheet laminated hardwood foil with bolt-on lead bulb raised by tackle that has led to a cockpit winch. 2 bulbs are offered, one a rectangular one that can be easily cast by an amateur and a more complicated beaver-tailed torpedo bulb for professional casting. The transom-hung rudder of the 26 is replaced by a balanced spade rudder of similar size on a stainless steel shaft for the Didi 29 Retro. This is mounted in a wooden cassette that slides into a slot in the cockpit sole and can be locked down. It can be lifted out for shallow moorings or for trailing. The deck of the 29 Retro remains basically the same as the 26, adapted to the needs of the gaff rig. Bowsprit is a carbon pole, but due to its length, it will need guides to control it, which are not needed on the 26. With the extended stern, it has gained an aft deck and lazarette. The Didi 26 has a tall fractional rig with 2 sets of switch spreaders with asymmetrical spinnakers on a pivoting bowsprit. It is a powerful and versatile rig. Jib sheets are inside of the shrouds for heavy air windward efficiency. Fast in light conditions, it is exhilarating downwind in strong conditions. The DD29 retro rig has a lot more sail area for even better light wind performance than the 26. The rig has the ability to dump large amounts of sail very rapidly as the wind increases. Carbon spars reduce rig weight to aid stability and to strengthen them to compensate for minimal rigging support of a gaffer. The Didi29 retro rig has 50% more upwind sail area than the 26. By dumping the peak halyard to scandalize the mainsail, 20 square meters of mainsail disappears instantly behind the lower half of the sail. Downwind, the Didi29 retro has 8% more sail than the 26, has a wider range of reaching sail options. To windward, the 26 has an inboard sloop rig all the time, but the 29 can switch back and forth between an inboard sloop and a cutter rig at will to suit conditions and heading. Although inboard sail area of the Didi29 retro is 11% larger, 20 meters can still be dumped by scandalizing. This is with reef down. Once it's deeply reefed, it's got a very snug reef, but don't try to scandalize the main at that stage because you could well damage the crew. In summary, the Didi29 retro morphed from a modern performance trailer sailor into a classic gaffer with even better performance potential. It is really ideally suited to modern classic style course racing and passage racing. The lifting keel and narrow beam allow it to be trailed and to cruise into private gunk holes. It should be a fun boat.